You see, why does fear exist? Why does it influence everything we do in our lives? Why do we always encounter it before we want to accomplish something? And especially when we want to do things that we know are important. We experience it on a daily basis, right? We experience fear almost every day at work or even at home. We are afraid of the future, afraid of what the future might bring, which will destabilize our present life. You have to understand there are two aspects of fear. One aspect is the psychological aspect, correct? Psychological aspect is imagining that something bad is going to happen. Imagining that something in the future is not going to go well for us. If you have a big interview lined up, or if you have a speech you want to give in front of a large audience, or if you want to meet the girls or the guys' parents, if there is any significant event which is going to happen in your life, fear happens firstly because you are imagining something about things to come. Okay? Fear is never really in the present moment. What is in the present is a sense of danger. We'll go into that in a little bit, how that is different from fear. But fear is mainly psychological, isn't it? The travail of fear, or the suffering which it brings, or the pain or the resistance which it brings, is usually about the future. And it's not about because we imagine a positive future, it's because we generally imagine a negative outcome, right? What if I'm interviewed and I sound like a mumbling idiot, right? What if I cannot answer a single question? I have a big exam coming up if you're a student, and in that exam, what happens if I cannot answer the big questions? What if I fail in that exam? What if my relationship fails? What if my health takes what if my diagnosis of the recent test I had is not good? So you see, we are imagining a negative outcome. So that is the first thing. And that outcome is not in the present, but it is a projection in the future. Often, people who have had good experiences for whatever reason generally project a better outcome for themselves. They are positive minded, they are more happy, etc., etc., and they are imagining something good is going to happen. So they are excited about their future. Now, such people will say that they don't experience fear, or they experience fear less than other people who are imagining a negative outcome. So fear is a projection of a bad outcome from your past, again, into your future. Not the good outcome. If the good outcome is projected in the future, there is usually no fear. Like, you are not afraid of getting a raise, right? Because you know how the raise felt when you got it a couple of years before, and that felt really good. So when the next time I get a raise, I'm not afraid of it, right? Or a vacation. You know how vacations feel good, so you're not afraid of something good that's going to happen. You're always afraid of something bad that's going to happen. And how do you define bad? You define bad based on your past experiences. So that's one thing, the psychological aspect. The other aspect of fear is the physiological or the physical aspect, which is the increase in the heart rate, the palpitations, the sweating of the palms, the tensing up of the body, the contracting of the muscles. Not relaxing, but contracting of the muscles, becoming hesitant, not being able to breathe, shallow breathing, or erratic breathing. So that is the physical or physiological response of fear. The physiological response is a result of the psychological aspect of fear, isn't it? Unless there is something chemically wrong inside your mind and body, that is, you have certain mental disorder, and if you do, obviously you should seek medical help. But unless you have a medical disorder, which is something serious, unless you have that, your body does not really feel fear automatically. It's not that you're just sitting on a bus stop and you suddenly start feeling fear. If you do, then something is off in your body, right? But generally what tends to happen is you start thinking about what's going to happen tomorrow, what's going to happen in that meeting I have, what's going to happen at work. Am I going to be able to answer all the questions that are going to be thrown my way? Am I going to be successful in this project or whatever endeavor you are on? So you start thinking about these things, right? And then the body starts responding. So the body doesn't respond on its own. The body responds when the mind is doing something. And what the mind is doing is generally in our control, okay? So that's the second thing. The first aspect of fear is the psychological, which is projecting the past and the future and imagining a negative outcome. The second aspect of fear is the physiological aspect of fear. And so the aim of this video is not to help you get rid of fear. It's a big promise to make. It's a tall order to get rid of fear. But the goal of this video is I want you to understand how fear functions inside your mind. Because just like the folks we see on television, right, who worked with lions or tigers, who trained those animals. Now we think that these people have conquered their fears, right? Generally we see them like that. How does this person go into a lion's cage, talk to these beasts or pet these animals, and then walk out without being hurt? Is it that they have conquered their fears, or is it that they have understood their fears? See, there is a big difference between being afraid of something and understanding that thing completely. It's the same as why can someone run a big company which employs 50,000 people, and why is another person afraid to even speak up in a meeting at work, for example? I'm using this is just an example. You could apply it to anything else. But it is because this other person has figured out or understands how to run this big company. So you have to understand these two aspects of fear, the psychological and the physical. Now, what can you do about them? The first thing is to understand that fear operates in time. Okay? So the first thing to do is becoming intensely present, which is seeing what you are seeing. Okay, see what is around you. I'm sitting here, there is some snow around here, and there is a sunset happening. So I look at the sky, I look at the trees, seeing what is around you, actually seeing it, not seeing what your mind is showing you, not seeing what your brain is imagining, visual images flashing constantly in our minds, but seeing what is in front of you. See what you see, hear what you hear, right? Which is listening to what the ears are telling you, not listening to that voice in your mind, not listening to the thoughts which are running at 100 miles an hour, but listening to the wind, listening to the slight buzz of the vehicles on the street, listening to the dog barking in the distance. See? Listening what the ears are telling us, not listening to what the mind is showing. And finally, feeling what you feel. Feel what you feel, which is become sensitive to what your body is telling you. Okay? If your heart rate is rising, is it rising spontaneously, or is it rising because you're thinking about something? If your breath is shallow, are you breathing shallow because you are imagining a negative outcome about that which you want to do, or because you're really short on breath? The answer is the former, isn't it? And so if you just let your body be and listen to what your body is telling you, generally your body is at peace, which means you're relaxed, which means you can breathe easily, and which means your body is not doing anything which it is not supposed to be doing. And so seeing what you see, hearing what you hear, and feeling what you feel, see, which is the definition of self-awareness, which means becoming intensely present. What this does is it breaks the mental projections which your mind is creating. So that's the first thing you can do, which is becoming intensely present. What is the second thing you can do? Second thing is you can relax your body. Learn relaxation techniques, relaxation methods. Learn how to stretch your body and become really deeply at peace. You won't believe how good you feel when you are having an intensely fearful episode because you have an interview coming up, because you are going to meet someone, or because you have to stand in front of 100 people and give a speech, whatever it may be. If you just sit down and stretch your muscles, stretch your body, do yoga or do whatever you do for your physical well-being. Generally do something slow and steady. Some people run to decrease stress, but running is very temporary. Running will decrease your stress for a moment, and then after 30 minutes or an hour, the stress starts building up all over again. And besides, running has a very good way of becoming an escape. People start running obsessively because they are escaping from their problems. It's like they are literally running away from their problems. That's not what we want. So do some stretching, do some breathing exercises, relax your body, slow down, do things slowly. If you're having some fear about something that's going to happen tomorrow and you're driving to a store to get some milk or do some regular chores, drive slowly. See, do things very mindfully. I don't like that word mindfully, but do things while being present. Slow down. Okay? Slow down. Slowing, you cannot see the results of slowing down unless you actually practice it. I recently had a baby, and when I was driving my wife, she was in labor, to the hospital, I was panicking. Obviously, like any person who's going to become a father, it's a very stressful experience because you want to get there on time and so on and so forth, and you're worried about traffic, etc., etc. And I was tensing up too much. And I realized that the faster I tried to drive, the faster I tried to go, the more tensed up I was becoming, the more wound up I was getting. So I just started relaxing, just started taking it easy, just started breathing deeply. And you keep doing it until you start seeing its effects. So, the second thing I said was relax your body. First thing was become intensely present. Second thing, relax your body. And the third thing, which not many people talk about, is finding out deeply what you're afraid of. What that means is, if you're afraid of, let's say, giving a speech to 100 people, public speaking, and dig deep into what exactly are you afraid of. Are you afraid of standing in front of people? Are you afraid of speaking up in front of people? Are you afraid of expressing your thoughts to people and afraid that something might slip out of your mouth which you are not meant to say? Or are you afraid of the fact that people will really see you for who you are? And deep down, you don't want to show people who you are because you haven't found a comfort level with yourself about who you are as an individual, what you want to say, what you feel as an individual. And then you're afraid that that uncertain you will be exposed in front of the people, and you're afraid of that. Dig deep, you see. Now then, keep going. Why are you afraid of letting people see you the way you actually are? Becoming open, becoming vulnerable. Is it because you are embarrassed about it? That there is something negative there? Or is there something you believe that is negative there, but actually may not be? See? For example, if you're nervous about the way you're going to look, well, you look the way you look, right? You're not going to become a more good-looking person in 5 minutes, nor are you going to look any worse than you do look already. I kind of have this face, and I'm going to look this way regardless of whether I want to or not. And so you come to a point of absurdity. You see, you are afraid of something which you cannot help. Let's say we stick to this looks example. Now you're afraid of looking a certain way, something which you have absolutely no control over. You see, beyond a little bit of dressing well, and so on and so forth. But beyond that, you are who you are. You are as you are. And so why are you afraid? If you are what you are, you look the way you look, you just show people, well, this is what it is. This is what I have to say. Whether you like it or not, it's up to you. And so dig deep into the reasons for your fear, and dig really, really deep. For the longest time, I was afraid of fainting, and to a certain extent I still am. But when I investigate what am I really afraid of, you see, it's the fear of becoming unconscious. But then the question arises, once you're unconscious, what do you know? What's happening anyway, right? And so there is this absurdity there. That is, I'm afraid of being unconscious, if you are. Now that is something which I had. But it's an absurd fear. And so once that absurdity is revealed to you, whatever fear you have, dig so deep into it that you eventually come to a point where you realize this is totally absurd. And then you come to a point where you are no longer afraid of that thing. Or at least you have an understanding of how your mind is playing tricks on you. Okay? So, 3 things. Become intensely present. Relax your body. And the third one, find out exactly what you're afraid of. Well, that's it. If you have any questions, put them down in the comments and let me know what you think. Thank you.